Hey everybody, and welcome to the first edition of Jet's Cinema Studies. This is the first time I've ever done this on my YouTube channel, and this is very exciting for me. So first off, I would like to mention, obviously if I'm reviewing cinema and studying it with you guys, I just wanted to let you guys know, just to be sure, there will be spoilers, okay? So if you haven't seen these movies that I will be mentioning, which will include The Irishman, The Godfather, pretty much any Italian cinema, if you haven't seen it before and you would like to in the future, don't watch this video. It's gonna spoil it, and I guarantee that you would watch it and find out what happens. So thank you, and let's get this video started. In the world of film and cinema, there's a genre for every type of person. No matter what you like, what you're interested in, there's always something for you. Personally, my favorite is mafia cinema. Italian mafia cinema, if you can get specific with it. I'm not talking about Italy, made in Italy itself. I'm talking about based off the Italian crime families that we used to see in earlier, well, I guess you could say the late 20th century, mostly. Sometimes it started in the beginning of the 20th century, but one of the most important films in our generation for this type of cinema and the way that it became mostly mainstream was The Godfather. Anytime a person hears The Godfather, you automatically know what they're talking about. They're talking about the guy in the nice suit with the rose and the cat laid back in his desk having people answer orders from him. Everybody knows The Godfather. And because of such a huge movie in American cinema that was based off mostly Italian culture that was carried over to America, there was a lot of outcry, positive and negative. Starting with positive, it gave Italians a sense of revival in terms of their place in America. Obviously, Italians had immigrated long ago, had already brought over the Italian cuisine that we have taken for granted as Americans day by day. So they had kind of fallen through the cracks a little bit. So when a movie like this comes out, this is huge, one would assume. But then comes the negative aspect. People saw The Godfather as a sort of diss on Italian culture, making them seem sort of overly aggressive and, not necessarily people. Whether a positive or negative review, overall The Godfather was incredibly popular, which led to the release of certain films, which are very mainstream nowadays, including Casino, Goodfellas, Donnie Brasco, The Departed, and even one of the most famous television series of all time, HBO's The Sopranos. Some may notice that I stopped after The Sopranos. The Sopranos ended in 2007, and since then, not much had really come out at that time, until award-winning, Oscar-winning, all the award-winning I could possibly say of director Martin Scorsese changed the game entirely with one film called The Irishman. As some could assume, with that massive buildup that I just created, that is exactly what we'll be talking about today. One of my personal favorite films, and by personal favorite, I mean my favorite film of all time. It is one of the biggest roller coaster rides you will ever take on a movie journey. And I can guarantee that it has completely revived the fallen off genre of American mafia cinema. This movie is actually based on true events written in the book, I Heard You Paint Houses, What Do You Know About That, by Charles Brandt. Now that Italian Americans had become a little bit more seasoned to the cultural references made in most American crime family cinema, this gave The Irishman the perfect opportunity to refer to not only historical events, but events that impacted Italian Americans directly through the 50s and the 80s. Right off the bat, this gives a chance for Italian Americans to connect to the movie. Not only to see a fantastic revival film, but to see true events lived out through the eyes of Frank Sheeran. To start, I already said it was directed by Martin Scorsese, and some mafiosos and Italian cinema movie lovers can already appreciate that and be like, hey, that's a great start. And it is a great start, but it doesn't stop there. This film could be seen as sort of a last hurrah for, the previous generation of Italian mafia cinema, which includes, the famed actors that starred in Goodfellas, Casino, Robert De Niro, and Joe Pesci. But it doesn't stop there. This doesn't even have to do with American mafia family cinema. But this is one of the most famed actors of all time. And I guarantee that you have heard of this movie and heard of this name and seen this face and thought, hey, that's a badass actor. His name is Al Pacino, the star of Scarface. Scarface was not Italian directed. However, it was an incredible crime story, a crime thriller, a crime drama. It was incredible. And Al Pacino took the reins and carried it on further into his movie career. And he also appeared in one of the best Italian mafia movies that I've ever seen in my life, Donnie Brasco. He ended up winning an Oscar for that performance. So those 3 A-list movie star names that I mentioned were all in this movie, the top 3 stars. Robert De Niro playing the main character, Frank the Irishman Sheeran. Joe Pesci playing Russell Bufalino. And then Al Pacino playing the world famous star of the 50s, Jimmy Hoffa. Some may be saying, whoa, you're kind of jumping right in there, trust me. I'm starting right from the start of this movie. Another fantastic reason that this could be considered the film that revived American mafia cinema is the creation of a new type of character that was typically seen in most Italian mafia movies. This is considered the wise guy. Now in this movie, I wouldn't say there's a wise guy. There is most definitely a neo-wise guy created by none other than Martin Scorsese and perfected by Robert De Niro. I'm not going to go through the entire movie, obviously not. I could talk for days about how beautiful this movie is. But let's start from the beginning. At the very beginning, you see this black screen that flashes, "I heard you paint houses." This is a perfect example of the way that Martin Scorsese has incorporated his previous filmmaking techniques with the things that he has gained knowledge for in his later movie-making premise. When he combines these 2 aspects, he puts together a fantastic film. And you can notice this from the start. When I see that black screen that flashes, "I heard you paint houses," I start off confused. By the way, "I heard you paint houses" means Frank Sheeran is seen as a young, hardworking man just trying to make a buck. He gets involved with Russell Bufalino and the Bufalino crime family when he works as a steak deliverer. Frank took it into his own hands to make extra money, selling on the side some of the steak that he had retrieved from his prior company and selling it and putting it in his own pocket. Obviously, his bosses had caught on to this and they had reported him, fired him, and put a lawsuit on him. This is where he meets his future lawyer, Bill Bufalino. You may recognize that last name. The cousin of Russell Bufalino. Bill was an incredible lawyer, ended up guilting the crap out of his company, and overall, Frank wins the case. And he now steps in to the inner circle of the Bufalino family. For the way that he handled the situation, he then meets Russell. Russell shows him the boss, and then it starts from there. Frank was seen as a man with great respect in the family, but he was mostly doing the dirty work. Frank didn't mind. This is where Jimmy Hoffa steps in the picture. Jimmy Hoffa knows Russell Bufalino very well. They helped each other out in certain instances. And Jimmy Hoffa was the president of the Teamsters Union. Teamsters was a very powerful labor union that fought for the advocacy of workers' rights. And from there, he's now in with Jimmy. After he meets Jimmy Hoffa, he finds out that Jimmy builds a great relationship with Frank's youngest daughter, Peggy Sheeran. Peggy is an integral character in this movie because she is the motif, per se, I'd even say the overall symbol of how the family is feeling while Frank rises in the ranks in his crime family. Frank tries to keep it on the low, but Peggy notices. Peggy enjoys her time greatly with Jimmy. but notices that Frank isn't doing the right things. As the movie progresses, Jimmy starts to get himself in a lot more trouble, and the Buffalino crime family tries to stay apart from him when they have been so close for so long. Frank is now in the middle of a very bad situation. This is where Frank has to make a decision. Will he choose Buffalino family, or will he choose Jimmy Hoffa? We find out in the movie that Frank chooses the Buffalino crime family and ends up whacking Jimmy Hoffa. Whacking, if you haven't seen an Italian crime movie, means you killed him. But there's so much more to this story, because when you watch the film itself and see this 3-hour and 30-minute plot, yes, I said 3 hours and 30 minutes. That's a very long roller coaster ride, which can be intimidating to some, but I promise you, it's worth every second of the journey. It really is, because seeing the story unfold and develop right before your eyes, before you even know it, is truly incredible. When you go deep down into these films, like I mentioned, the relationship between Peggy and Jimmy, and then you combine it with the incredible award-winning filmmaking techniques of Martin Scorsese, it's perfect. Check this scene right here. One of the most intense scenes I've ever seen in my life.
Peggy, shall we dance? Excuse us.
When I see the way that Frank is just staring at what he has before him, it is literally a picture of the entire conflict for Frank during this movie. Family, or the people that brought you success. Didn't really sound smooth when I said that, but it's just a fact. Ultimately, this overall conflict makes him lose his relationship with his family, see his crime family completely die out, and even go to prison, while he has to live in a nursing home by himself where he narrates this story. This movie was so different from any previous Italian mafia movie that was ever seen before. The way that Martin Scorsese dug so deep into a single character rather than an entire family made it so integral, because the way that you see and feel the conflict that Frank is currently going through, the money to help your family or the love to keep your family with you, it's an ultimate conflict that you don't even have to be in a mafia family for. The filming in this movie is absolutely spectacular. The acting in this movie is absolutely spectacular. Check this scene. This is so random, but look at this scene. This is the scene where Frank finally tells Jimmy, because of his love for Jimmy, that he has to do what he has to do, and that is kill him.
They're more than a little concerned. There's widespread concern. It's a big problem. Tony told the old man to tell me, to tell you. It's what it is.
What it is?
It's what it is. Please, listen to me.
They wouldn't dare.
Don't
They wouldn't dare.
Jimmy,
Please, Frank, come on.
Don't say they wouldn't dare.
No, don't tell me that kind of that's fairy tales.
Please, don't say they wouldn't dare. Please.
I mean, wow. And by the way, that scene of Jimmy and Peggy dancing was like 5 minutes after this happened. This was so much. And I guys, I would show you every clip if I could, but I would get into some copyright issues. This movie is a game changer. Move aside from the fact that it's very long, take some time to sit down and watch it, and I promise you, it will open your eyes into the majestic and intriguing world of American crime family cinema. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, do whatever. Personally, I don't really care, but just do what you please. React how you feel like you want to react. Thank you so much for your time, and please watch this movie and see all the masterful techniques that came into play in making this perfect revival film.